You're listening to the Companion Gun Dog Podcast. I'm your host, Grayson Guyer, and with me today is an old friend, Cody Fulk. And Cody, did I say it right, Fulk?
Yeah, you got it.
All right, got it. Cody is here today. I'm going to let him do his own introduction for the most part, but he's here today to talk about something that's been a big issue in my world for the last probably year and a half, but really going back further than that. But we're going to talk today about a piece of, I'll call it public land, that I've been hunting on since I've been hunting. I've been running around on my whole life, and it's somewhat local to here. It's on the Yadkin chain of lakes, and we're talking about primarily the west bank of Tuckertown, even though the east bank's going to come into play a little bit. But Cody, how long have I known you now? About 5 years?
Longer than that,
Longer than that?
Yeah.
Gosh. Cody used to work for an outfit called Three Rivers Land Trust, which is still doing great work here in the Yadkin Valley, and it's expanded its range. But they are a land trust. They service the hunting population to some degree, or just the general sportsman population in regard to public access of properties that they're involved in the area. They got some really interesting programs as far as that's concerned. So Three Rivers is going to play a big role in our conversation today. But since his time at Three Rivers, Cody has moved on to go back to work for the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, and he does a lot of important work there, and he's also brings a lot of knowledge to the table when we talk public lands in our neck of the woods. In addition to all that stuff, Cody is a dog man. He's a generalist of a sportsman, and there ain't nothing he can't talk on, and not to make him uncomfortable and build up his ego or anything like that. But Cody's a great guest for this show because we can cover everything we need to cover. But the focus of today's conversation is going to be on Tuckertown. And Cody, if you don't mind, because I did a pretty weak job of explaining what it is you do, tell us what you do for the commission, and kind of what your background is, and maybe how important this piece of property we're going to talk about today is to you.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, Grayson, you were awfully kind with your words. I don't know that I'm an expert of anything, or you're very nice. My background is hunting and fishing and that kind of thing. That's what led me into the career path I'm in. But my current role, I serve as the Southern Piedmont Management Biologist for the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. And that's kind of a fancy way of saying I have a significant role in the public lands in the Southern Piedmont of North Carolina. My role involves everything from acquisition to the actual physical management of those properties. And that's everything from kind of Davie County south down to Richmond County and over into the Hoke and Moore County area as well. So the Yadkin River chain, a bit of the Lumber River, that's where all my focus on public lands is.
Those are, it doesn't get, for me, it's my home range. It's your home range too.
Well.
Yeah, and these are, this is, even though I went away for a long period of my life, and it's really my ancestral home as well. And so when I think of the Yadkin down to the PD and over into the Sandhills and the lumber drainage, even as far as to say where the little PD meets the big PD in South Carolina, to me, it feels like home.
Same.
And there's, I know the commission and Three Rivers essentially, and some of the other land trusts in the area, I don't know, I guess we'll jump right into a technical question. In terms of public access, I can't imagine we've had a net gain in the last few decades.
That's a.
Well, we've added some.
I hate to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
But we have trended upward.
Okay.
We have more public lands now, even in our area,
Yeah.
believe it or not, than we ever had.
Well, that's wonderful. Maybe it just feels that way, and we kind of touched on this in our conversation earlier, is that private land is kind of off the table.
That's it. It feels smaller
Yes.
because there's less places that you can just ask permission and go, or where people won't let you access anymore.
Yeah.
And there's also more competition. There's more hunters.
Absolutely.
I know that the national trend is a downward decline of hunters. We were talking about this earlier. But the trend of people hunting public land has gone significantly up.
Skyrocket.
It's up. It's up. And so it feels smaller, but actually acreage-wise, the commission and the partners like the ones you're mentioning have really done a great job of adding opportunity.
Yeah.
So we've added acreage with the exception of some that we may lose.
Well, and so I guess Well, that's good, and it's a place I'm happy to be proven wrong on because I think most of us are in the same boat. Whether you're one of the like an adult onset hunter of the COVID era, which I think there are a lot.
Yeah.
We've lost a few. I've seen kind of bumps and drops and everything else over this last 5 or 6 years. But that being said, I think what we're the realization I'm coming to is, well, number one, if you're going to chase small game, outside of still hunting for squirrels, probably you need large contiguous swaths of land.
Well, that's the point. I mean, that's kind of the point of chasing small game.
Yeah.
It isn't really what you take home. It's seeing country.
Exactly.
Right? Moving around and seeing big country and taking big jaunts and hiking in the woods more than for just the sake of hiking.
Yeah. It ain't a 30-acre deer lease.
Exactly.
And so even though that's been the trend for hunters over the past probably 5 decades, is moving towards big game and deer and turkey, essentially. And we've lost a lot of our small game culture, I think. If you're into it the way you and I are, then, yeah, you need land to roam on, and that's going to, for the most part, be public for us and for pretty much anybody I know. And then that being said, I mean, the deer and the turkey hunters still get out on public, and there's great opportunities on public in our area for those folks. But it just, whenever I feel like we're losing a piece for whatever reason, especially this piece of Tuckertown, and we'll get more into why it's so important, it just hurts so much more. It feels like a bigger loss.
It feels personal. It feels real personal for me.
I guarantee you.
I mean, Flat Creek runs through my front yard of my property.
Yeah.
And then, I look downstream and there's a chance it's going away, and it's the place where I go. It's where I've always gone. It's where my kids are hopefully going to go.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but I mean, the chance feels imminent at this point to me. I'm really, really sad about it. And I was shocked. The first place I went where I saw the for sale sign, and that's the first place I knew about it, was down on the way south end. And that day, and I kind of forewarned you of this, I'm at the place right now where I'm going to hotspot West Bank of Tuckertown.
I think it's totally acceptable under the circumstances.
But the first day I saw a for sale sign, I walked that piece of property and moved to Covey quail. And in the Piedmont in North Carolina, that opportunity is almost non-existent. And this is one of the few places it is.
Yeah. It's saying something that guys like yourself who not only love the activity of bird hunting, but also make a living off of it, are willing to tell about exactly where these places are because it's that important.
It is. Because here's at the end of the day, it's going away. If there's not some sort of miracle where, to me, QF, and I know they're involved right now, QFPF, or whatever's left of Quail Unlimited, if there's still anything, and need to get with the Yadkin Valley guys. But all hands on deck. This is a really expensive project. Exorbitantly expensive, and don't see how we're going to recover unless, luckily, unless that get in such a financial crisis as a country that nobody can afford to jump in on this thing. That's the only luck we're going to have.
And we're not wishing that. I don't wish the country ill.
I don't want to be poor.
Ill economics.
Wherever the country goes is where I'm going.
Exactly. I like cheap gas and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, luckily, I guess to our favor, the housing market and interest rates are slow. Interest rates are higher, and housing market's semi down. So the only real private drivers of purchase for these lands would be a development style purchase.
And had this been 7 years ago, it'd be gone already.
Be gone.
Yeah. And so that could be around the corner. That kind of economic engine could be looming for developers to jump back in and pick stuff up like this. And you can't blame anybody. And we were talking about that earlier too. Alcoa, and I know I'm going to say some things, Cody. I'm going to mention drop names and talk about companies and other NGOs and things like that. Cody's not going to be able to necessarily speak with on it because he has to maintain some neutrality in his position with the state, and that's important. So you'll hear me say things that Cody may not engage me on, and we'll just try to flow through the conversation as that goes. But Alcoa is the I can't remember what it stands for.
Aluminum Company of America.
Aluminum Company of America, which I think ironically was a British company or French company.
At one time, and most of their stuff now is overseas.
Yeah. And so during World War II, they were an enormous player. They're an aluminum producer, and they dammed up the river I believe they were responsible for the building of the dams.
Yep.
And it started
1930s.
okay, which would have been probably part of some WPA stuff.
Yeah, it was. Well, so the very first dam was Old Man Whitney, is what they call him down there, Old Whitney Boat Landing.
Really? Okay, cool.
And that dam is where the train trestle crosses now.
Yeah.
It's underwater right there. Those danger buoys in
No
there.
kidding,
That's
yeah.
where the dam's at.
I did not know that.
So that was the first one, and they got the rock from the western bank of Tuckertown.
I think I run to Skag on.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have. The rock came from the western bank of Tuckertown, just below Bald Mountain. They mined it out right
Okay.
there and took it down the river.
Interesting.
And so that was the first one, but then there's obviously there were a lot of good pinch points for dams.
Sure,
and
sure.
so Alcoa came in, and that's where they got their start. Sure.
Okay. And so, Alco, we're talking a big chunk. So when we talk about the Yadkin chain of lakes, we got the Yadkin River in North Carolina. Headwaters are somewhere near Blowing Rock.
Yep.
And come down kind of in Norway over to Wilkesboro. There's Kerscott, which is it considered on the Yadkin chain of lakes? So so that's the first.
I wouldn't call it the Yadkin chain, but it is the first lake on the Yadkin.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It's on the Yadkin River, north of Wilkesboro, west of Wilkesboro a little bit, and flows through Wilkesboro, comes all the way down through East Bend. There's an amazing history that goes with the Yadkin River. As all major river systems in this country, especially on the East Coast, we're going to be that's the places where you get a lot of the early history. And from the Native Americans down to the Quaker Road that came down from Pennsylvania, and a lot of people, that's my people came in and settled this area from there. Scots Irish, which was the rest of my people coming into the area. And that, where it runs into the PD, goes all the way down to Georgetown. At one point, they were going to make it a navigable piece of water by steamboat all the way up through, which was a failed project that was going to, when you get to East Bend and the Shoals area they talk about, there's infrastructure from those times. But coming through in the 19th century into the early 20th century is when the interest in damming this river for power generation kind of came on, and Alcoa was the one that did it. So when you get into this region in Salisbury, below Salisbury and Spencer, down to Denton and Healing Springs, and getting into your neck of the woods, that's the East Bank. When you get on the West Bank, that's all High Rock Lake, but I don't know much on the West Bank, to be honest with you. I don't even know if there's a township over there.
No, not on the High Rock side, not really. No.
And so that was really, even to this day, is the delineation in my mind between Winston, Greensboro, High Point, the Triad, this really populated area. To me, when we got west of the river, you were really going to the country.
Yeah, sure. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I see that.
And that's changed a lot because Charlotte's kind of moving up. Salisbury's become a bigger town in my lifetime, around High Rock anyway. So High Rock's a really big lake, always been a recreational lake. My dad tells stories, and my grandparents told stories of before. The lake was it was dirt cheap property. It was good for nothing but maybe having a fishing shack on. And it's now today I don't know
It's
how
lake living now.
I don't know how you can fit another house on High Rock.
No, it's developed.
It's way developed. The cool thing is you get below the High Rock Dam and you get to really the only lake, in my opinion, that doesn't have development on it for the most part, and that's Tuckertown. And that's what we're here to talk about. And I guess from Tuckertown, you go into Baden, Baden to Falls.
Yep, and then Tillery.
And Tillery. And, Falls doesn't have anything on it, but there's not much there to have.
And it's really just a river channel.
Yes.
It's a lake, yes, 'cause it has dams on both sides, but it's...
I've heard, I don't remember who I heard say this, but some of the biggest rapids on the East Coast were at the Narrows before.
Sure. Yeah.
I can only imagine what it would have looked like.
Yeah, because it was a straight up waterfall before the dam was there. Yeah. Huge waterfall.
And for those that don't know what we're talking about, you can see it on a map. You look at the Yadkin River flowing through the western Piedmont of North Carolina, or I guess the Piedmont of North Carolina, runs into South Carolina, becomes the PD River. It's the lifeblood of this region of the country. It's where we get our drinking water. It's where we recreate. It was all the navigation up, until the highway systems moved in, and so just a very important part to us. And again, to reiterate the importance of this Tuckertown Lake, it's the last kind of wild place along the river, at least in the chain of lakes, that we have the opportunity to publicly access as hunters and fishermen, without going out there and getting yelled at by some old lady for knocking a worm off her dock, or
That's it.
And so the East Bank, I guess let's start with that. Alcoa, I don't know all the corporate history.
Okay, sure. Well, I don't either.
Now it's a company called Cube that I guess manages most of the
they
property.
manage the dams. Alcoa still holds the land interest outside of the dams.
Okay,
so
and I know Duke Power's kind of got some involvement.
Duke doesn't have anything on this portion of the lakes. Now, farther south, Blewett Falls, the last lake before the South Carolina line and the last dam, that's Duke Energy.
Okay.
That's the only one. The Duke doesn't have any involvement. It's Cube and Eagle Creek with all these other ones.
So does Duke own? And I always thought for some reason they had something on the northwest side of High Rock. Is that not Duke up there?
So they own land.
Okay.
They don't own any power generation.
Power generation. Got it. Okay, that clears that up for me.
Yeah, the Duke's got land all over for potential. Well, they bought land all over years and years ago for potential development of nuclear sites along.
And that would have been.
And they have the Buck Steam Plant
Yeah.
up on the upper end of High Rock.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
They have that. So that's a, technically a power generation type situation,
but not from the dams.
They don't have dams. Not on this chain.
And so we've moved in. So Cube operates the dams now. Alcoa still owns the property. We're at this place where it's time for the sell-off. We're at the time in history now where it makes no sense for Alcoa to be holding this property. It's become kind of a liability on their books. They need the cash more than they need the land.
That's right.
And that land is extremely valuable now. We also have talked about the demographic shift in North Carolina as we go along with this. In my lifetime, really that region of the state has gone from a backwater to a bedroom community for all these big cities we talk about. We just have people moving in from everywhere. I have no idea how much the population of the state of North Carolina has grown in the last 45 years, but it's been a lot. And so it's just, everything from some of the old fishing camps that are still left down there to multi-million-dollar residences all over the lakes. And so that property it's astronomically high.
And it's funny. They have, you can look it up. If you want to look it up and see for yourself the numbers and what they're asking, you can go to I think it's highrocklands.com. It's the realty website set up through Remax maybe. And they have it listed and all the different parcels and what the price is. And most people are like, those aren't realistic prices. Well, actually, they are. There's comps out there that make this a realistic price.
I'm just grateful they're not shopping it low.
That's a huge benefit. And if they were, hopefully it would have been where we could have jumped on it ourselves.
Yeah.
But, you're mentioning all the partners. That's one of the things with the state. Somebody might say, well, why don't you just go buy it? It doesn't work. I wish it worked that way. We have a long, lengthy process for acquisition that involves multiple organizations outside of ours at the state level. And then there's allocating funds typically takes, at the longest 3.5, 4 years, the shortest 2 years. We're putting in for grants. We're doing all the things to, make our match with our Pittman Robertson money, the money generated through hunting and fishing to be able to do this type of work. And so we couldn't just go buy it. And with the price tags that we're looking at, there's a lot of thought that maybe that same amount of money would be better spent somewhere else.
Well, and tax dollars are always in short supply and high demand, but especially when you're the Wildlife Resources Commission.
Yeah, you got to look at what's
you
best.
You ain't the DOT.
Nope.
Ain't or whatever else. And unfortunately, we talked about the demographic shift. It's whether you got hunters and fishermen moving into the state or you don't, it just feels like a piece of the culture that's slipping away to some degree. It just, it was everybody was at the very least a casual hunter or fisherman in the old times.
Sure.
And nowadays.
I like to tell people, it's an argument I have. I say everybody fishes. I'm sure there's somebody out there that doesn't fish and has never fished and never wants to fish.
Yeah.
But I feel like
the
majority of people will have been fishing at some point in their life.
That's fair because and you can appeal to something because it appeals to something in a kid. It doesn't have quite the same baggage attached to it as the hunt.
It doesn't have stress. Like fishing is fairly stress free.
Yes, it's a pastime. It's a relaxing pastime. Now, for me, I consider hunting the same, but I think other people don't see it that way necessarily. It feels like a pursuit.
But yeah, it's definitely I think it's important to consider that if you're thinking, well, if it's too much and we could spend our money somewhere else and maybe get more bang for our buck, that might be something we should consider. I think the driver is there is a huge community of hunters and anglers and recreational outdoor people right here.
Yes.
And it's actually the most people.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important, is because we have 80% of the population is within 100 miles of this property.
Yeah.
80% of the North Carolina population as a whole is within 100 miles.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
wild. Considering we're not near
That's
the
Charlotte,
coast.
Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point.
Yeah.
You know, the major, and Raleigh even, because Raleigh's within 100 miles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you look at that and then you think, well, okay, you know, a percentage of those people hunt or fish or both.
Yeah.
And then you figure that on down to just hunters, you're still looking at several 100,000 people
Yeah.
that need a place to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to potentially lose half of the places they have to go.
Well, and I mean, and if you're listening to this, and I probably should have opened with this, I may have lost you already, but as an out-of-stater, I think, yeah, if you're coming to this state to, you know, to go do anything, I mean, I never understood this as a kid that was trying to leave this place. But from a natural resources perspective, from a natural beauty perspective, from the freedom to roam, like we're so lucky where we live.
North Carolina's great. We're
especially just this little region.
We're number 2 or 3 on east of the Mississippi for public land.
And you would never get me to believe that. For whatever
Michigan's
reason.
number 1.
Yeah.
And we're in the top 5.
That's amazing. I mean, we just are so lucky between UARI, between these Yadkin game lands, the sand hills, everything else we have access to. I mean, we can really, if you are a hunter and if you're listening to this podcast, odds are you're either a duck hunter or a bird hunter. I mean, we're just sheer lucky, and everybody gripes. I mean,
I do too. I'm guilty.
I am too. We were just having the same conversation earlier. But there's a lot worse places to be than right where we are.
We are very fortunate that we have a government and a wildlife commission. And I'm not saying this because I work for them, because I didn't work for them for a while and still felt this way. We're fortunate that we have a agency that cares about public access and that wants to. There are plenty of agencies that are not doing acquisition work right now. I mean, plenty
it's
of
over.
They're done. That period of conservation is done for them.
Yeah.
We're not that way, and we try to target it very specifically because there is such thing as too much, as much as I would like to think there's not. But we're lucky that we're still in the phase of trying to get more and do better.
Yeah, I mean, we are. I mean, I'm grateful to that, and I still love this place. I mean, I definitely long for elbow room, but if you got, you know, if you're going to live on the East Coast, I can't think of many places I'd rather be.
If you got to be on the East Coast, this is a great place to be.
It's about as good as it gets. So for those of you that are either considering coming here, considering being here for whatever reason, number one, you got to take advantage of the Yadkin chain of lakes, whether it be for hunting or fishing or just going out and hiking or doing whatever, enjoying a day on a kayak. It's an amazing, beautiful, scenic place. Tuckertown is the absolute gem of that. Falls in Tuckertown. And Tuckertown more so just because it's the larger reservoir. But, I mean, if you want to get on a canoe, paddle all day long, and see very few people,
that's it.
It's one of the places you can do it on, you know. And if this land sells to a developer, that's going to change.
Yeah, if you want to take a 30-minute drive from your metropolitan place of business and be in the back country.
Yeah.
The back country, in quotes, because,
I mean,
you know, you can drive 30 minutes and be in a McDonald's.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that, this is the opportunity for it. And it's there for now.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. You have the scenic views for the non-consumptive use.
Yes.
And then you've got also just really high-quality habitat for fish and game animals.
Let's park on it for a second. So, I mean, we got time, and there's no reason to be in a rush to get out of this thing. Your job is to know what you've got access to. So let's just talk about Tuckertown, the fishery and the game lands. And I don't want to put you on the spot because I can't even imagine how many fish species.
Yeah, it's
game fish species.
We got them.
I know there's striper at the dam.
Yep.
Good, some of the best catfishing.
Great cat. It's talk about burning spots.
That's your man.
Talking about burning spots. I mean, straight up. Tuckertown is incredible. It's a sleeper lake for trophy catfishing,
Amazing.
and also eater catfish too. But if you're if you want to catch a man-sized fish, Tuckertown's got them.
Yeah, I mean I need to go. That's your thing.
And
I got to spend a day with you on that boat.
It's
one
great.
day.
Tuckertown's great. Crappie fishing is phenomenal.
Yep.
You know,
All
your panfish are all there and in great numbers.
Bass fishery's fantastic.
Bass fisheries. I will throw a caveat into the fishery that is a negative.
Yeah.
We have a species of aquatic plant called Lingvia.
It's killing me.
It's an algae situation. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad there. It's really frustrating as a fisherman if you're trying to throw any kind of a cast and retrieve lure. You're constantly cleaning this grass, this smelly, weird snot
and
looking.
I'm a canoe
grass.
guy, right?
Yeah, so
I'm
you're
out,
just trudging through it. Yeah, and if you got an outboard motor, you're constantly cleaning your stuff off. I mean, that is a hassle. But that's literally the only complaint I have with that entire system.
I mean, so while we're on that, is there a plan for that at all? If
they've tried to treat it in certain coves. It doesn't really take well to treatment because it spreads so easy.
Sure.
But they have done what our fisheries division has done is they go in and plant little areas with some native aquatic plants that will hopefully combat it or take away some of the nutrients that that Lingvia invasive needs.
That's probably
so. If you're on Tuckertown, you see little areas that are. It looks like cattle panels fenced in the lake.
I know exactly.
That's those.
Interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, because I don't fight it as bad. I've seen it on High Rock, not nearly as bad as it gets on Tuckertown.
Yeah, Tuckertown's the worst. And Baden's getting there.
Is it? Yeah. I noticed it on the north end of Baden last year. And my assumption is that maybe the agriculture is just feeding so much nutrients, but that's a part of
I mean, that's part of Piedmont living.
Yeah. Well, and we're lucky to have it because that means that there's not as much development in taking up those areas.
Yeah, nobody can really put a finger on how it got there.
Interesting. Well, boats and boat.
I mean, it's definitely or birds. I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
nobody really can, but it's inevitable that it's going to migrate down the lakes.
But all that being said, I mean, there's still a bunch of fish in that lake.
It's not incredible fishery.
Yeah, and it's for what I enjoy doing, it's really the better lake. The only problem is you're fighting that stuff, but for clear rocky bottoms in some of your coves, awesome. I'm still on my mission, and I have not done it yet. Land a carp on the fly
rod. Yeah, well, that's the place to try.
It
for
is.
Sure.
It's really and on the Yadkin chain. There's so much turbidity in High Rock, and then Baden is so deep with so few shallow coves that. To me, Tuckertown's been the only place I've been able to really sight target carp in the chain. So another thing to play with in that area. And then from a hunting perspective, I mean, it's got the largest contiguous game land. So on the chain, other than the forest, I guess on the east side of Baden, southeast side.
Yeah,
of Baden.
you can't count the national forest.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing.
It is, and it doesn't get managed like that. I mean, that's the thing about Tuckertown, man. Is it's the mosaic of successional growth. There is so much habitat, man.
That's the benefit to if we were to acquire this is as a state-owned property.
Yes.
We can do as little or as much management as we would like.
I can only imagine what the dove fields could look like.
It could be. I mean, and it's a blank. You've seen it now. The way it looks now. I mean, it's pine plantation. Most of it's been harvested and replanted.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a blank slate for habitat management.
Yes.
It's a habitat manager's dream to get that.
And that whole, there's this history, the lumber industry along the river. I mean, it's still going strong between Troy, Colt, Jordan, all those. There's plenty of others too that just have enormous swaths of land along the corridor. They're honestly, in my opinion, a net benefit from a management perspective. Now, obviously, we don't want to monoculture, loblolly everything. But that being said, the different age classes just...
Yeah, and they all supply different wood products.
That's true, too. They got some hardwood.
They do a lot of different things between those 3-4 lumber outfits. And so, we're really lucky to have those guys here.
Yeah,
It not only is it an economic driver for the community, but, man, habitat-wise, it does good stuff.
It really does. And so, I mean, some of my most dependable woodcock covers are in that area. I found the quail there. I put this in a post the other day. One of the also to acknowledge is and I know you must have seen it. It's grown up. The cutover's grown up in the last 5 years, but below the dam on that first piece on the west bank, is that old Bringle property. And there's a Bringle family plot there.
Yep.
Have you ever seen it?
Yep.
It's the most haunting, beautiful thing you ever see because you got a man and a woman, and I can't remember how many kids.
There's a bunch.
There's a bunch of young children that were buried in that plot with them. And it's a snapshot of what rural life on the river was like in the 19th century, you know, and I guarantee you, if they put a housing development there, I don't know what
That block actually is under contract. That block's under contract.
oh my God, it makes
Not with us.
That
So,
makes me nauseous.
Who knows if it will close or not, but it was under contract as of December.
So I'm learning that in real time, and it makes me want to cry. I mean, I can't explain how little of this we have left in this world, not just our neck of the woods, but it's not just my personal connection, which I have a big one, because just adjacent to that on the other side of the river is the south slope of Wildcat Mountain, which was old family land going back generations for me. Healing Springs area is really important to me. But these, you know, I don't know what the historical societies or whoever controls what happens to those old family plots is going to do. Maybe they rope it off and it stays there forever. But either way, it doesn't do it justice, because the people that need to find that are the people that work to find that. You know, and there's these special moments you have when you're hunting, when you run up on an old home place or you run up on an old family plot. And that moment means more to me than any number of animals I come home with that day.
It's special. It makes you feel like you're a part of time.
It does. It does. That Tuckertown Lake area is one of the few places where you can take a walk through life. And I think about this all the time, about what my people must have gone through trying to farm that dirt, make a crop in that place, which is not good dirt.
No.
You know, so... And so once that turns into a housing development, that's gone. It never comes back. And not only with the wildlife that goes there, you know, it just becomes another, you know, vinyl village with
impervious surfaces.
Impervious surfaces.
Once something is paved and has well, I won't say a building, because there's a lot of buildings that come and go over the periods of time. Yeah. But once something gets paved, it's never not.
Yeah, and that means that the water, I don't know how they get away with all the development with the water quality, considering these reservoirs are so important, but I guess they figure it out, what they can do and what they can't.
Yeah.
But it's going to kill the water quality. It's going to hurt the water quality anyway, to some degree. But the reason the woodcock like that place is because they got an earthworm buffet all along the banks and all up every little creek, up to the headwaters of those creeks, you know, and the wood ducks and the big ducks and everything else that depends on a little bit of moisture in the soil.
I mean, you can think about any aquatic or terrestrial species that's even remotely associated with the Piedmont of North Carolina. They're there, and then some.
And it's such a unique landscape too, because you're kind of in this transition. You're in the Uwharries.
Yeah, it's the Uwharrie Mountains.
You're in them, but you're also not in the kind of the heart of the ridge system of the Uwharrie. Mm-hmm. So you're getting this transitional period. Like, I love that place around Riles Creek where you go down and you know you're in the Uwharries, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like Uwharrie, you know, and there's so much of that stuff there. And like I said, rocky bottoms. Which, go on High Rock and find a rock on the bottom. You know, I mean, you will when you'll stub your toe on
covered in silt now.
Yeah, it's all, you know.
They're there somewhere.
Yeah, but you got clean water. You got clear water back in the coves when the conditions are right. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, so I don't know how not to be a doom and gloomer on this, because I just don't see a way forward other than just screaming it from the mountaintop and hoping somebody hears it. You know, we've talked, there are people that have interest in these sorts of things. The problem is the juice and the squeeze aren't quite in line on something like this, because the dollar amount's so high and the property was just not that much of it to buy. If hopefully, if you hear this and you're in my limited audience, then go out and get it on a bigger podcast. I guess somebody said the hunting public mentioned it.
Those guys got on board with Three Rivers.
Oh, really? Awesome.
And did a little video on Tuckertown.
I haven't even seen it. So
Aaron with Hunting Public, he did a talk on why it's important, a very short talk on why it's important.
Sure, but it's anything.
Well, I would suggest, you know, if you're just hearing about this situation for the first time and it piques your interest at all, I would suggest doing a little research.
Yes.
Looking into the organizations that are trying to partner and seeing what they can do, and do your own research and
Yes.
figure out what you support and what you don't.
And while he's saying that, I'll say, number one, Three Rivers Land Trust. They've got a stated mission of procuring whatever land they can, turning it over to the commission. At least they've done that in the past, and they've stated that as a mission. So I believe them when they say that. And so that would be my number one organization there. I think there are partner organizations to TRLT, and I may be missing some. And what I'll do is come back in my show notes and list anything. I'll chat with anybody I can after this. But Three Rivers at the top of the list. You can make a donation. Anywhere you make a donation, whether or not it matters, you can tell them in a note, this is about Tuckertown.
Mm-hmm.
And so Pheasants Forever QF, they have partnered with TRLT to some degree, I think, and recognize the value in this property. Again, guys, we're talking about, you want to talk about a unicorn is a wild bobwhite quail in the Piedmont in North Carolina, and we know they are here.
Yep, and you can, and I will go as far as to say the majority of major conservation organizations, private ones, in the Piedmont, North Carolina, are on board at some level.
Yeah.
So I think you can weed through the internet and find them.
Well, I'm gonna
pretty easy,
yeah.
And Grayson will call Grayson. Feel free to call me.
Call me, and I'll reach out to anybody. I've got friends at BHA. I've got friends at RGS, American Woodcock Society. These places all have a vested interest. The woodcock, the quail. We need a squirrel conservation organization.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Quality squirrel management.
But we talked about this too. If you want to run a beagle in this part of the state,
this is where you go.
And there's a dedicated crowd, and they're the nicest dudes you'll ever meet.
And they'll let you hunt with them.
They love it. You go up there, and a lot of them dudes don't even carry a gun. They just want to run.
Don't.
They want to run those dogs. I go up there some days and just sit and listen.
I get frustrated when they flushed all my woodcock because they ran their beagles through some of my favorite spots.
They do.
Man, yeah, that's the place to go.
It is.
And if you're not, I think most of us, especially the people that are interested in this kind of thing,
yes,
are usually not of a lot of means. Like, we don't have a ton of money to give away.
Yeah.
We work hard for what we have.
Yes.
Spend that on our families and what we need, and give when we can.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't necessarily ask you to give as much as just to take an interest, and it doesn't cost you anything to write a letter.
No, especially to a politician.
Or even to the Wildlife Commission, just say how much you love this land and support it. That goes a long way towards staff morale.
Staff morale, and then they can carry that when they go ask for budget line item stuff. They can say, "Look, man,
people care." That helps. You matter, whether you have a hunting and fishing license or not. If you do, you have a voice and you matter.
Well, and I think public land for hunters. Now, I've kind of given windows into this on my podcast in the past. I've got very diverse political views. And I've always struggled to find
what makes you cool, man.
my own political identity. And I know I can't be one of these hardline super capitalists, because the idea of public land to some degree has a layer of social.
It's very libertarian.
It's very. And it's but the thing is, you got to think about, and this is the way I've been able to reconcile it in my mind. So if you are kind of like me with some heavy right beliefs, but also some conflicting ideas, the way I've been able to reconcile the public land thing in my mind is, number one, if in a perfect world, the government, we live in a representative democracy, and the government is the will of the people. And it's hard to remember that in tumultuous times, that it's not us against the government, because to some degree it is.
It will
but
feel that
in
way.
a perfect world, the government does the will of the people. And I think we have to be idealists to be Americans, because if we quit on the idea of it, we lose it. Public lands is not so much about the government controlling the property as it is our collective wealth. We're off the gold standard. What do we have of value? The real property in this country is probably our most valuable asset.
I would say 100%.
And if we start letting it go, we lose that from our collective. It no longer, so it's not about necessarily the value of the dollar or whatever else, but the thing that makes America wonderful, the reason people wanted to be here in the first place was the natural resources.
That's it.
And if we're selling those off, we're losing our collective wealth. And so I wish I could somehow get that filtered up to the right people. But yeah, and I mean, it's hard to have ever said this was public land, but it's been publicly accessible land for a very long time. Do you know when?
Yeah, maybe we should, maybe that's a great little background that people should know that maybe don't. So Alcoa, how the situation has developed and how it has always worked is, we talked about Alcoa building the dams and they acquired this land. One of the things they were required to do in order to operate dams on public waterways was to provide recreational opportunities. It's national across the board. Anybody that operates a dam on a public waterway has to do X, Y, and Z in order to be allowed to do it and get their license.
Yes.
It's called the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And these guys require these different things, and they do assessments and all. Well, one of the things they're required to do is allow access for recreation, hunting, fishing, etc. So these lands that are in question and the lands that have already been acquired were all part of a greater lease program. And this program was, these lands were leased to the state to allow for public, your access, my access, allow for the public to access it. So we pay, the state of North Carolina, the Wildlife Resources Commission pays a small amount annually to Alcoa to allow us to use those lands for access. We have not taken on any of the management roles on the things that Alcoa maintain ownership on, other than boundary, posting the boundary with game land signs so the public knows, where they can go, where they can't. Everything else they managed in-house, from the timber to the prescribed burning, all the things they were doing. They had that done in-house. So what does it mean? It means that for over 30 years, well, it's actually pushing 40 now. Man, we're getting old. Pushing 40 years, this land has been publicly accessible through this lease agreement. And so for a long, long time, people have been able to go out there and do essentially whatever you want.
People are doing things they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, but you've been able to go out there and do legitimate activities and have a good time for next to no money, because the state paid that.
Do you remember what year it was put in, or do you know?
Man, I wish I should have prepared more, Grayson.
Well, I mean, to me, I don't.
So I can tell you this. So the Wildlife Commission was officially formed in 1945 and 46, and this was probably one of the fourth or fifth game lands.
To me, it's always been there.
It's always been there in my lifetime.
Yeah, I don't remember it not being a thing.
The Sandhills game land was the first one, and this one was very soon after.
Okay.
So it's been around a while, and we used to actually lease. This is off topic, but it's fun. And we used to actually lease private land from private individuals for game land,
farmland.
Yeah, just big tracts of farmland.
I've wondered why we don't have walk-in.
Yeah, it's kind of like the block management or the access.
There's not
programs.
enough large contiguous tracks. I guess
maybe one day it'll be something. But there's just
I
not.
think Murphy Brown does it. I guess still to some degree.
Yep, and Weyerhaeuser and some of those big outfits. But so anyways, we lease it. But they're allowed. They're the landowner. They're allowed to do whatever they want. If they want to pull it out of the program tomorrow, that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
And that's something we couldn't stop and wouldn't. That's what they're doing.
Which is the thing, because I want to be mad at Alcoa. And again, I can say some things here you probably aren't.
Yeah, I have mutual feelings maybe, but I feel very much indebted to them for how much access we've had.
And that's the same thing. And it's hard, and I think we got to remember this. A lot of us feel ownership over things that we've never owned.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And yeah, I mean, and I can really conjure up some anger considering my family history on the river, but a lot of that property was procured through eminent domain, which means nobody paid for it,
or they didn't. They paid for it whether the people were willing to take it.
Exactly, they paid whatever
they paid, but it was maybe the people didn't want to sell.
Exactly, and so just like eminent domain, when a highway gets expanded and you lose a piece of your front yard, they come in and say, okay, this is a fair market value. Whether you agree with it or you don't, take it or leave it. The land's going away. It's getting transferred to the state or whoever. And
should have learned about that in 6th grade civics, probably.
Yes, and that's how this land was procured for Alcoa, essentially, in the first place. And now, when it's all said and done, this land's getting sold at whatever value Alcoa deems fit. And I think if you looked at the realized return over the last, close to 100 years,
it's pretty good.
They're doing okay on this deal. And so, at the end of the day, I mean, it's really digging up bones to some degree, and it's not fair to
you can't look at
the current ownership.
If I look at it like that, I'm in a state of fury and constant depression.
Yes.
And I don't want to look at it
No.
like that, even though I also have family ties
Yes.
locally on the river and a long history
Yeah.
going back before we were even a country.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it is depressing
Yeah.
to think of it that way. You know, you look at history, we needed corporations like this to do things in certain times.
Yes, we did.
We needed dams, we needed power
Yes, we did.
generation. We still need those things,
Yes.
but we need this land too.
Yes, we do.
And so should they make a profit? I don't know. That's not for me to say.
Yeah. I mean,
It's-
they're beholden to their shareholders.
But they're
publicly
doing
traded
what they're legally obligated to do and
That's
what
right.
they should do as a company.
Yes.
And we are doing our part as just regular Joes and public servants
Yep.
trying to get the word out and get all the private organizations on board to help us do something and trying to make sure that our constituents know we care.
Yeah. And it's worth knowing all these things. I mean, it gets back to that muddy political water stuff. Doesn't matter who you are. I mean, if you love this land, it hurts to lose it. Doesn't matter what your political views are, it hurts to lose it. Sometimes that goes against my pure capitalist instincts, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think we can forgive all parties involved that have egreged anybody in the past and to whatever degree. And at the same time, boy, it sure would be nice to have a little altruism right now. You know,
It'd be nice to take a gift.
Yeah,
it would be nice to say, you know what, we're just going to give it to you. But that's not how that's not the
it's
world.
not how things work. And you can wish in one hand and you know what in the other and see which one fills up faster.
I've been, well, I'm friends with very, very many of the neighbors around.
Sure.
One of the comments, one of the themes of conversation is this. They're like, well, it's not really for sale because of the price tag. They're not. That's not a real number.
Somebody's coming in with
I think because we live just in our world and
Yeah.
we don't know what the rest of the world's doing.
Yeah.
What you don't realize is that is a real number. And there are development companies and private individuals that have that kind of money.
Yes, there are.
And
yes, there
there's more than you think.
Yes, there are. And I mean, you look at the way Charlotte's grown in the last 30 or
Exactly.
40 years. I mean, Tuckertown is a viable lake retreat for Charlotte
And
residents.
if I was a developer and I was in the market, I'd buy it right now
Oh my gosh.
and wouldn't think twice.
Just sit on it. It's only going up in value.
Yep.
It
and
ain't
I'd be
coming
like-
down.
I'd be like, you know what? Who cares if it won't perk? I'll figure
Yeah.
that out later.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
land, they don't make more land.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And this is some of the most valuable property, perking or not.
Yeah.
They'll figure that out.
They'll figure it
I
out.
got a neighbor back here with a tank sitting above
They
ground. I
do
guarantee
all
they'll
kinds
build
of
the biggest one in the world.
Yeah, the biggest one in the world. That's right. And they'll pump it. They will pump it wherever they got to pump it.
They will.
So it's and it's got a decent road network in it already.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's kind of it's set up for that just as well as it is for habitat.
Yes.
So you could go either way, and from either perspective. I hope we go the habitat perspective.
I do too. I do too. And I guess, you know, however it goes into the future, you know, go out there, visit it. If you're listening to this podcast and you're within driving range, you know, go out and expect something unimproved to some degree. You're not going to take a ride through Yellowstone. You're going to go out there, and if you want to see what it really looks like, you're probably going to wear some briar chaps.
Yeah, you're gonna pull off the shoulder of the road and
Yeah.
walk behind the game land. So.
Yeah, but I tell you what, if you take a long, hard walk through any of that part of the country, you're going to stumble on something and have a moment.
Yeah, it might change your life. It very well might.
It very well could. And hike up the hills. You know, when you see that, there's a couple of hills up there. If you get to the bald, you're going to get it.
Yeah, it feels like that. And some of the partners we've had, I don't know how many meetings I've had at this point, but we've had tons of meetings, you know, strategy meetings and how, you know, all the different meetings. One of the things somebody said was, it's going to the mountains in my backyard.
It's exactly what it is.
And they liked about this individual liked about it was the fact that it felt like the mountains. I like that it feels like Tuckertown.
Yeah.
But it does, the landscape is mountainous to a degree for the Piedmont. It does.
I can
feel
only
that way.
imagine the diversity of species.
It's so I can speak to that. That's something I'm allowed to talk about a little bit. So it does have some natural, some state recognized natural areas with some state recognized species. One of the cool ones that we as bird hunters may try to avoid, but is rattlesnake.
Yeah.
So the rattlesnake, that's one of the farthest north ends of its range until you skip over into the mountains up in Dobson. Up there.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
there's like a chunk where there's no rattlesnakes.
Yeah, between
And-
Sourtown and Eulora.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just about as far as they go. So there's
Interesting.
there's rattlesnakes there, timber rattlesnakes, which is very cool.
Yeah, it's fascinating. No, we've got. I mean, I'm sure some plants. I just can't imagine that
There's one plant that grows only, well, it's a little farther south, but it occurs upstream, even though it's not documented. But
Yeah.
there's one plant that's the only place it is in the world.
No kidding.
Yadkin River goldenrod.
That's
The only place it is in the entire world.
And then you take that and you couple it with the habitat diversity. Even though again we're talking pine plantations, a lot of it, but the age class, I can't imagine how important that is to the songbird population. It's got to be immense. And this isn't a good opportunity because I got you here to make a little transition. We've made our appeal, our plea for Tuckertown. Sure. But as a wildlife biologist in this is your region, and I'm surprised that Davie counts as a southern Piedmont at all. But I guess
They actually did. It used to be in the Mountain Eco region. We kind of reconfigured it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's in because to me it's the Yadkin Range. That place where like the shoals south, really to Baden. There's like an ecological zone in there. I'm sure it exists.
Sure.
That feels to me like the river.
Mm-hmm.
Once it becomes, you get down to Blewett,
pretty much as soon as you hit Baden, everything starts to change. You have a weird mix of coastal species and mountain species colliding. And it does, and really very few Piedmont endemic species.
Interesting.
So you can be in a place where you have, and this is no joke, you can be in a place where you have pitcher plants, but you also have mountain laurel.
Yeah.
And rhododendron.
Yeah.
And that's odd.
That's very cool because you go to Sandhills,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean,
It feels like you're at the beach.
you're at the coast hunting. If you go to Croatan and hunt, or if you're a woodcock hunter like I am, and you go to Holly Shelter, and you turn around and you come back to Sandhills, you could potentially have the feeling like you never really left the coast.
Yep, it's all coastal.
And Drowning Creek is such a special, it's out of the Tuckertown influence, but we're so lucky to have.
Yeah, there's Blackwater.
Yeah, there's real Blackwater.
Yeah.
And then I've never done it. I've never paddled the lumber, and I've always said I'm going to. But Drowning Creek is the headwaters of the lumber, turns into a little PD, runs down. From a natural and cultural history perspective, this river system, and it's my river system, so it matters to me. But boy, it's like nothing else in the world.
I'm partial to it. You're right. Historically, I mean, you think of it from a terms of European contact. It's one of the first places Europeans ever made it to.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you think of Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox. Britain's Neck is at the confluence of the Little PD and the Big PD, which is now Woodbury WMA for South Carolina, which is a pretty awesome place in and of itself. But that is when you watch the movie The Patriot, which is loosely
that's where it was from Nathaniel Green.
That's
all
the
that
swamp. Yeah,
happened.
and then right there at the ford going across to Salisbury. Not to mention it's Daniel Boone's backyard as a teenager.
I've been holding that one back, but this is where Daniel Boone spent his formative years up into his 20s.
Yeah,
and came back and forth.
I think about it. It never doesn't cross my mind.
Me either.
When I'm on the banks.
We might have been walking right here.
He had to have been. I guarantee there's certain places but even down to Tuckertown, there's no doubt in my mind he didn't take a canoe down to as far as Tuckertown.
I think it was
kick around.
You can imagine it was written. Knowing what we know of him, it had to have been a regular occurrence.
Yeah, and what an amazing place, because you can go stand in a place where you can't see a house and you can't hear a boat sometimes. And you can stand there and really put yourself back in your mind 200-300 years. And then you think of the earliest contact, talking about the villages along the river, the Native American villages along the river. It was a mega highway. We're just so lucky to live in this region. If you're not from here, it's worth coming and checking out if you're into nature and natural history, if you're into cultural history. And it's surprising to me how hard it is to.
It's not readily available.
It's not. There needs to be a little. And I know every town has a little
your
museum.
home county has done the most as far as trying to promote the Yadkin River culture and the historical significance.
Probably Richard Childress had played.
Dan, do you know Sim DeLapp?
I don't. I need to know
He's been huge. Daniel Boone, historian.
Okay. Did
Huge.
you guys do it? Was he the one you did a show with?
Probably. I
Okay.
definitely had done something.
Speaking of which, I'm going to take this quick second. We're going to still talk about Samuel Lapp. Guys, if you haven't ever checked it out, Three Rivers has a podcast called Campfire Conversations. The original hosts were Cody here and my buddy Sam, our buddy Sam Parrott, who's moved on into his own home region where he's doing the Lord's work down there and preserving land. But go back and listen to some of those old archived episodes if they still have them available. I assume they do. It's
goofy.
Dude, he thinks it's goofy. It's my favorite podcast ever, and it's gone. it's just a time capsule of a wonderful time that we had. And I mean, it's still a wonderful time. Every time is a wonderful time if you're in the right place, and doing the right stuff. But it's worth it. There's some great episodes on Daniel Boone, on the natural history of the area. It's just, I don't know. I can't keep going on. Samuel Lapp, sorry. Go ahead.
So Sam DeLapp's a local right here in Davidson County, and he has been very instrumental in the historical society here. So Davidson County is doing some stuff, but there's not like, if you come visit the Tuckertown Game Lands
there's no
complex, there's
kiosk.
no interpretive signs, there's none of that. You're going to be on your own, Indiana Jones in it.
There's not really hiking trails at all.
Nope, there's only one formal hiking trail, and it's on the eastern shore, Ball Mountain.
Yep.
But
we got to go. If you listen to this, here's what we're going to do. We're going to clean that up in the spring of the year. Last time I walked up,
it should be pretty clean. The crew just hit it right before New Year's.
Good,
so.
But we need this is the thing. We all if you're listening to this and you're local to me and you're into this stuff, we need to have a collective. Doesn't necessarily mean we all need to go up there and beat the woodcock up in one day. But what we could do is go up there and pick up glass bottles and stuff like that one day.
Yeah, and just explore.
I mean, the commission has a lot. You guys are chronically understaffed. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, we expect a lot of you guys. When I think about the work you got on your plate, we want you to make our habitat, and then we want you to keep the area clean.
It's a lot.
How many guys are working out of Troy right now?
So managing this area, we have one vacancy currently. So there's three. There's a team leader and a full-time technician and a seasonal technician, and we're vacant on a full-time.
How many counties is that?
13.
13 counties, you got 3 guys.
Yeah, 3 dudes.
3 dudes.
Four when they're fully staffed.
And probably only one of them that really knows how to run a tractor.
That crew's good, man.
Are they? That's awesome.
Those boys are really good.
That's good. Well, so listen, if you're competent, they got a vacancy.
Apply when it comes open and put in and get on and help in that regard. But yeah, so it's 4 dudes total, and then me trying to help them.
I'm sure you do, and I guarantee it.
And also guide the decisions that are made to the best degree, because they don't have time to. Those guys, they don't have time to sit down and think about what day are we going to do this and where. Sometimes they don't have time to think about the big picture management plan.
They're picking up shovels and going to work.
Yeah, I mean they're showing up and hopping in an 18-wheeler and hauling a bulldozer 6 hours sometimes in a day. I mean 3 hours one way, 3 hours back.
Yeah, if you're running from the south end of your territory to the north, that's a long,
a long day.
Yeah, I mean, so we don't have enough. We need, are there volunteer programs?
No, we don't have a lot. We do some internship stuff.
Okay.
And we've had some volunteers do trash cleanup and that kind of thing. But there's not a lot.
What that means to me when I listen to this, and I'm one of these people that's a big dreamer and doesn't ever follow through with a whole lot of the stuff I'd like to do.
That's not true.
But we know about the Historical Society. We know about Three Rivers Land Trust. And to me, those, from a non-governmental organization perspective, are the major players. Places to probably go right off the bat. There's got to be volunteer opportunities through Three Rivers.
Yeah, I would say they've probably got.
And they do a lot of stuff with getting you out on the water, getting you out in the woods. They do a lot of hikes and stuff in the area. I think I need to, I've been thinking this for a long time, but I need to really put more of my energy and my time and my money into this being my own backyard. I've done a lot of traveling and spending money a lot of places and having fun, but I'm going to make a commitment here to go see what I can do. Is if it's just going and picking up shotgun shells and beer bottles or whatever. I think if you're listening to this and you care about these places, I think having having a presence matters, and be involved.
And I mean, Grayson, over a year ago, you called me and said, "What can I do?
Yeah.
How can I help?" And at that time, I was like, "Man, we're screwed." I hate to say it, but we and so you do those things, and other people do too. And I think it's just important to get the word out, because I think that the original narrative and what's made this project such a challenge, and what makes it a challenge, is it's always been accessible. So people don't realize, they think that maybe the state owns it, or they don't fully understand because they haven't took the time to do any real research into it and see what's going on. Or they may think that there's, one of the partner organizations, whether it's Three Rivers or the Conservation Fund or any of them, may be trying to take it away from them in some, so that, those misnomers, we can be our own worst enemy. As a collective of hunters, anglers, hikers, sportsmen, non-sportsmen that all enjoy the same property, we can easily distribute the wrong information.
Absolutely.
So, just doing what you're doing today,
awareness,
and trying to put that out there, that could change the game.
Well, and maybe there's somebody out there listening that's just got a few $million laying around and needs somewhere to put it.
Call me up. We will we'll line you up some which way.
Yeah.
Put you in touch with the people you need to be in touch with.
Well, and so, I guess that's my appeal to everybody listening today. And it's not the first time I've made these kinds of appeals, but please, if you have if you have an interest in, you could live in New York State, but I guarantee you're dealing with your own thing.
Yep, everybody is.
You are, and whether it's here in our home or in your own home, we've crossed a threshold that we kind of talked about earlier, where it's this private access is kind of, when I was a kid, I could walk out my grandpa's back door in the city limits of High Point and cross 3 or 4 different properties.
You telling me that.
Yeah. And shoot squirrels on every one of them. Nobody would do anything but wave at me or ask me who my parents were at the worst. And those days are behind us. Mm-hmm. That's over. That's over in rural, because now people think about insurance liability and stuff like that. So this is this is it. This is what we got. And when we've been doing this a long time, now all of a sudden it feels crowded. And we got the Steve Rinella versus Matt Rinella debates going on in the world. And I understand that feeling. And I still feel it, but I have come to the conclusion that I would rather have that feeling than to not have the access. And so, I just kind of implore everybody listening to reconsider, we do have an ownership in this. If you've been hunting it for 35 years or kicking around on it for 35 years, the way Cody and I have, when you see new people show up with Vortex spectacles on their neck and Sitka gear everywhere, it can be a little off-putting, but you know what? We need those guys too, And so get out there, get involved. Call Cody, call the commission, ask what you can do.
Yep.
And they may not have anything for you. Call the next guy. Call Three Rivers, ask what you can do.
I'll give you all the information that I can on the property and anything you'd like to know about what's...
And call me.
What's up there.
Like always, and don't expect a return call.
And if you don't do anything, you've now learned about an awesome place.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you like, I can't do anything, I can't give money or write a letter or get involved in any way.
Go take a walk out
there.
You
can still go hunt it.
If you do nothing else... But when the weather gets a little warmer, go out there and take a walk. I believe there is a high percentage opportunity you're going to stand on a ridge somewhere and go, this place has to be preserved.
That's where I'm at. I feel like once you go there and you spend whatever your thing is, whether it's bird hunting like ours or
bird watching,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Once you go do it there, you can be like, man, I can't believe this might be gone.
Yeah, and I never knew it was here in the first place. But now you know. So you got no excuse not to go, Cody. Do you have anything else to impart on these people?
I appreciate what you're doing, man.
Well, the same to you, buddy.
Grayson's, if you know Grayson personally, he's just an awesome individual. Wealth of knowledge on, man, everything I've ever asked you about. You had a
lot of that. Well, I've also been known. I share a family trait in the art of bullshitting too. So sometimes
Grayson is a wealth of knowledge and a true professional and conservation person.
Well, it's kind, but and obviously, I mean, we're here because we had these shared interests, and we need to come back and do another one. I enjoyed this so much. Do one where we just talk about the fun parts.
I'd love to just talk about running bird dogs and
squirrel dogs. I need a squirrel dog episode.
Yeah, we talk about squirrel dogs.
Yeah,
I love all things dog.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much. Nothing else to pass here. We'll get this one out for this month, and we'll circle back to you. And thanks for listening.